Good, whoa. The mic just bit me or something. I don't know. Good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day. I think we have a few mothers in here. Do you want to identify yourself, mothers and grandmothers? Okay, almost everybody. I'll tell you, I'm still flying high. I don't know if you guys, how many of you were here last weekend, but the 200th anniversary celebration was just totally amazing, wasn't it? Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be alive for the 250, but I don't know. Anyway. Okay, welcome to our service from the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence. My name's Jan Nettler, and I'm a member of the Worship Committee. If you're new or returning after time away, we're very glad to see you. Please feel free to fill out these welcome cards, which are in the pews, or you can find the link online if you're on Zoom today. And then we'll put you on our email list, and you can find out about all the amazing things that we do here. We strive to be a congregation that welcomes people of all ages, races, and religious beliefs, backgrounds, sexual orientation, gender identities, and abilities. We belong to the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and we are guided and inspired by their principles and values. Our values and principles move us to remember that those of us in the Pioneer Valley live on the unceded homeland of the Pecumtuck, Nonotuck, and Western Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge our responsibility to confront the legacies of dispossession and systematic racism that are part of our collective history. And at the same time, we affirm and celebrate the many legacies that inspire us. We have drawing materials and other ways to occupy your hands on the tables in the back. Restrooms are downstairs, and you can reach them through either door. You can take the stair. There is an elevator, too, if you need it. By the way, the restrooms are gender neutral, gender free, gender for everybody. We're here to celebrate and to reflect and to support one another, and it's good to be together. Elaine Apthorp, one of our members, will be leading the service and giving you some powerful messages about Mother's Day. So now we'll begin.
Good morning. Good morning. That's why I always say good morning, to see if it's on. This first song is a song that I wrote for my first daughter just after she was born, so it is a Mother's Day song. It's been a long time since I let time wash over me like a warm, easy river. I buried myself in other people's dreams. I was living on the edge, but longing for the center. Well, you came to me on a warm summer breeze, ripping me apart, or so I thought. It took a little time and your lessons of love for me to realize you put me back together. Hello, my dream come true. I've been waiting for you. Hello, my dream come true. Let me learn about you. My dream come true. Was I since you were born. That warm July morn, there's a new song I hear, growing louder every day. It's a melody of truth, of wisdom, of beauty. Is it one that will last? Oh, I think that it may. Well, you came to me on a warm summer breeze, ripping me apart, or so I thought. It took a little time and your lessons of love for me to realize you put me back together. Hello, my dream come true. I've been waiting for you. Hello, my dream come true. Let me learn about you. My dream come true. Was I your dream too?
Thank you, Elaine. I love that song. That's the first song on her CD, which has lived in my car CD player for a while. I love to hear it. And it's a perfect song for mothers and daughters. I'm Elaine Apthorp. I'm the lay leader for this service. It's so sweet to be here together. And those of us who couldn't be here in person, very sweet to see you online. Given all that can lead us to despair of meaning, how do we imagine and nurture the substance of hope? On this Mother's Day morning, we'll take 2 walks in memory, mind and heart. Sing of the gifts that we give one another along the path, and reflect on the way that one small right choice, one gift given, one received, can make ripples across the pond, come to us in a dark hour, and bring us rest and courage, gratitude and faith. Here's to the ones who loved us into being.
So for the chalice lighting, Laura will be lighting the chalice, and she is a mother. In fact, she has a couple of kids here. You want to wave to her? Good. Please stand and rise in body or spirit as you can for our chalice lighting. We'll remain standing for the first hymn, number 121, We'll Build the Land. And the chalice lighting words are from Edward Everett Hale. So join me, please. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can. now it's time for a story for all ages. I invite anybody who wants to come closer. Are you going to read them down there?
I can read you down there.
Yeah. So you can see the pictures much better. I see three bold people. Okay.
Reading up here.
Oh, we're reading up here. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Each Kindness by Jacqueline Woodson. That winter, the snow fell on everything, turning the world a brilliant white. One morning, as we settled into our seats, the classroom door opened and the principal came in. She had a girl with her, and she said to us, "This is Maya." We all stared at her. Her coat was open and the clothes beneath it looked old and ragged. Her shoes were spring shoes, not meant for snow. Our teacher, Miss Albert, said, "Say good morning to our new student," but most of us were silent. The only empty seat was next to me, and that's where our teacher put Maya. On that first day, Maya turned to me and smiled, but I didn't smile back. I moved my chair, myself, and my books a little farther away from her. When she looked my way, I turned to the window and stared out at the snow. My best friends that year were Kendra and Sophie. At lunchtime, we walked around the schoolyard, our fingers laced together, whispering secrets into each other's ears. One day, while we were near the slide, Maya came over to us. She held open her hand to show us shiny jacks and a tiny red ball she'd gotten for her birthday. "It's a high bouncer," she said. None of us wanted to play, so Maya played a game against herself. The weeks passed. Every day we whispered about Maya, laughing at her clothes, her shoes, the strange food she brought for lunch. Some days Maya held out her hand to show us what she had brought to school. A deck of cards, some pickup sticks, a small tattered doll. Whenever she asked us to play, we said no. The days grew warmer and warmer. The pond thawed. Grass began growing where the snow had once been. One day, Maya came to school wearing a pretty dress and fancy shoes. But the shoes and the dress looked like they'd belonged to another girl before Maya. "I have a new name for her," Kendra whispered. "Never new. Everything she has comes from a secondhand store." We all laughed. Maya stood by the fence. The next day, Maya's seat was empty. In class that morning, we talked about kindness. Ms. Albert had brought a big bowl into class and filled it with water. We all gathered around her desk and watched her drop a small stone into it. Tiny waves rippled out away from the stone. "This is what kindness does," Miss Albert says. "Each little thing we do goes out like a ripple into the world." Then Miss Albert let us each drop the stone in as we told her the kind things that we'd done. Joseph had held the door for his grandmother. Kendra had helped change her baby brother's diaper. And even mean old Andrew had done something. "I carried teacher's books up the stairs," he said, and Miss Albert said it was true. I stood there holding Miss Albert's rock in my hand, silent. "Even the small things count," Miss Albert said gently. But I couldn't think of anything and passed the stone on. Maya didn't come to school the next day or the day after that. Each morning I walked to school slowly, hoping this would be the day Maya returned and she'd look at me and smile. I promised myself this would be the day I smiled back. Each kindness, Miss Albert had said, makes the whole world a little bit better. But Maya's seat remained empty. And one day, Miss Albert announced to the class that Maya wouldn't be coming back. Her family had to move away, Miss Albert said. She told us to take out our notebooks. It was time for spelling. That afternoon, I walked home alone. When I reached the pond, my throat filled with all the things I wished I would have said to Maya, each kindness I had never shown. I threw small stones into it over and over, watching the way the water rippled out and away, like each kindness, done and not done. I watched the water ripple as the sun set through the maples, and the chance of kindness with Maya became more and more forever gone.
Thank you, Ruth. That was Ruth Hanselman who read that story. And now it's time for everyone going to religious education activities to leave us. And please join in humming or singing them out. And now it's time for everyone to greet one another. Those in the Great Hall, if you want to stand up and wave at the people on Zoom back there. If you're on Zoom, it's helpful to turn on your videos, wave and say hello in the chat. Anyone online or here in person who is new, can say hello and tell us where you're from. If you're on Zoom, it would be helpful if you turn off your videos. It helps the technology work better. Thank you.
That was a heck of a story, wasn't it? Usually we have a happy ending to these stories, but that's what RE is for. And that's what love within families is for. It doesn't always happen as we long for it to do, but that is what it's for. When I was a very small child, growing up in Los Angeles, my mother used to take my hand and walk me to kindergarten, a journey of about 1/4 mile, mostly simple, but featuring crossing of a vast intersection of 4 multi-lane boulevards. No big deal, except my mother was legally blind. She couldn't see much at all except out of the corner of her eye, and if she was sitting in the den and one of her children came into the room, she couldn't tell which one of us it was until we spoke. So I navigated these walks to kindergarten, holding her hand with great seriousness, sense of responsibility. I felt responsible to look both ways and get us across that big intersection safely. And all the while, of course, it was she who was protecting me. After all, despite her impairment, she walked back home. and back to school to pick me up every day, each time alone. She made that fuzzy, narrow slice of vision work for both of us. She taught me so much. She gave me her life. She taught me to love reading because it was so hard for her to do. But she did it anyway. She read to us, peering through her gigantic jeweler's lenses. You should see these things. They went out to about here. She read slowly, but with great spirit. She was quite an actor. She taught me to fill my lungs and sing from the core of me as she did, and to harmonize with her as we sang together while she cooked. And when I turned 16 and longed to cross the country for my last 2 years of high school, she was deeply against it. But she let me go. That was an incredible gift. The night I got on the plane, I'm going to start crying, sorry. The night I got on that plane, she sat on my bed and we sang Sayonara. You know that song? Sayonara, no more you picking cherry blossoms, no more me looking at the moon. Sayonara, sayonara, goodbye. I can't sing it without crying and laughing, which is what we did that night when we sang that song together. We laughed until we wept. This was not what she wanted for me, this journey, this moving so far away from her at such a young age. But it was what I wanted, and she let me go. It's so important to remember things like that, because I get so mad at her. In these few years since she passed away, I find myself having angry conversations with her in my head. You know those? The ones I never had when we were both alive, because she made some choices that hurt me terribly. All those wounds that even the most desperately caring parent inflicts due to the hopeless challenge of becoming yourself while trying to help a younger soul become themselves. We were very close, but she struggled so hard to see the whole of me. And the older I grew, the more challenging it was for this very conservative Southern Baptist to raise such a gender non-conforming daughter. So many of the gifts she tried to give me, I did not know how to accept. And so much of the support I desperately needed, she did not know how to give. She didn't entirely understand me, but I breathed her love. And it gave me the strength to cross all the roads of my life. We get angry at our parents, and our children get angry with us because we need to be so much for each other, and we try to be. But we're also just people, struggling works in progress, whether we're parents, children, or both. But Fred Rogers has a meditation for that. He says, take a moment to thank the people who loved you into being. So let's take a quiet moment to do that together now. Think of those people who loved you into being, the challenged caregivers of your growing time, the ones who didn't quit, all the teachers and counselors who have given you insight, support, encouragement, hope, and inspiration, who loved you on your way, the ones who walked you into the world and who bring you home. Now, please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn 1012, 1012, in the teal hymnal, When I Am Frightened. The words are on the monitor up front.
I love that hymn. I'm a little lost here, but hang on. Ta-ta-ta. Offertory. Our generosity makes everything we do possible and helps support organizations and movements in the greater community. Half of the proceeds of each offering support the Society's operating budget, and half are shared outside our walls. You can mail a check, donate online, or put your contributions in one of the plates that the ushers will pass. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Oop, we need the microphone.
I'm singing. Eventually.
We're getting there, hang on.
Pollen. It's very inconvenient. Have we got any sound here? Mic on. Be off. Let's see. Hello, no, not yet. I pushed it and nothing. Maybe because my fingernail wasn't very effective. Yeah. What can I say? No one knows her stuff. Okay. I wrote this song actually for one of Lynn Marie Waneker's lay services. And if any of you, I know several of you, have been fortunate enough to hear one of her services, you've had a great treat. Let's make her do some more. But it seemed to fit the theme today, because it's about compassion and addiction and suffering and cry of suffering and the way that the heart can respond. It's called Jesus Came Back as a Labrador Mix. Jesus came back as a Labrador mix, a pup in a dumpster I found. He ain't too clever, can't teach him no tricks, but I sure like to have him around. 2 bottles too many at the end of the day. He'd sit on my hip and we'd parade. Jesus came back as a Labrador mix and walked me to meeting today. Jesus came back as the needle exchange, 2 girls and a card table strong. Pretty damn dangerous setting up here, them both so unheavily harmed. They stitch us together with nickels and time, their flyers keep blowing away. Jesus came back as the needle exchange and walked me to meeting today. We opened that vein, river of pain, drowning the tide. Just under that veil, love that prevails, we don't know why. Jesus came back as a breeze on my cheek, the morning I walked to the wall. All of those messages tucked in that stone, 6 million more in my heart. Their misery poured through my blood and my bones. I cried, we're so horribly made. Jesus came back as a breeze on my cheek and walked me to meeting today. We opened turn that vain river of pain, drown in the tide. Just under that veil, love that prevails, we don't know why. Jesus came back as a Labrador mix and walked me to meeting today.
I am so sorry. I'll just stand on my tiptoes here. Our readings from UU Reverend Howard Thurman. There must be always remaining in every life some place for the singing of angels, some place for that which in itself is breathlessly beautiful, and by an inherent prerogative, throwing all the rest of life into a new and creative relatedness, something that gathers up in itself all the freshest of experience from drab and commonplace areas of living, and glows in one bright light of penetrating beauty and meaning, then passes. The commonplace is shot through with new glory. Old burdens become lighter. Deep and ancient wounds lose much of their old hurting. A crown is placed over our heads that for the rest of our lives we are trying to grow tall enough to wear. Despite all the crassness of life, despite all the hardness of life, despite all the hard discords of life, life is saved by the singing of angels.
Thank you, Terry. My personal angel. So we gave you a tough story this morning, and then you didn't get to go to Ari to talk it through. So I'm going to try to fill that gap here with a second reflection, which I call a walk home in faith. Our story this morning featured a character whose attempt to offer a gift is also a quest for connection. In this case, gifts that Maya offers in an effort to kindle friendships. A simple offer and request that those around Maya refuse to honor or reciprocate. It makes me think hauntingly about the consequences of unkind choices, near and far, and refusals to respond to the voice of suffering, but also about the long reach and positive impact that an act of kindness, offered and accepted, can have over time. How natural it ought to be for strangers to behave humanely toward each other, like the kinfolk that we actually are. You know, Terry has a smiling practice when she's walking in the world. She makes eye contact with strangers and smiles at them, just smiles at them. And I think it makes many people's day. Just that. So I promised 2 walks, and this is the second one. A very long time ago, when dinosaurs walked the earth and there weren't any cell phones, I was a student at Berkeley, walking by myself in one of the most economically depressed neighborhoods in Oakland, California. A food desert with seemingly no businesses for blocks in any direction. The sun was getting low in the sky, and I was lost, as I generally am, trying to find a bus stop, thus far in vain, when from across the street, a big middle-aged man in an electric wheelchair called out to me, shouting his battery had died and asking me to help him get home. "It's just down the block," he said. I didn't know whether I could push such a large person all the way down this block in such a chair. He was gesturing abruptly with one arm. It was this one, actually. And the loud, ragged music in his voice made him seem drunk or high. And I was alone and clueless and very anxious to find my own way home. But he was alone too, and probably his battery was dead, and whether he was drunk or not, he had a tougher road to navigate than I did. And I had fully functional arms and legs, and what would you do? What would you do? Exactly. Remember that. So I crossed the street and started pushing him in his chair down the block. But when we got to the corner, he said, "It's just a little farther." just a little bit. And thrust up his good arm to point like he was casting his line, just a little further to catch a fish that swam, just a few yards ahead. So down the next block we went, just a little farther. We're almost there. Down another block, and another, and another. I did not know where he was taking us. You may imagine my thoughts at this point. They were a tumult of self-absorbed misery, embarrassment, exasperation, anxiety, and depression at the recognition that he, a middle-aged, partially paralyzed resident of this neighborhood, had reason to believe that I, 20-something white girl in a Berkeley t-shirt, probably wasn't someone he could trust with the truth about just how far away his home really was. But between regular updates on how close we were getting to our destination, we chatted, and I found myself feeling less and less awkward and embarrassed, and somehow stronger as I got the hang of the optimal angle for leverage. You really have to kind of get down and use your hamstrings to keep us going. Thank God I was in my 20s and an athlete. Would have been tougher now. At long last, after an hour and 20 minutes of pushing that chair, I was utterly exhausted, and his colostomy bag was very full. But he said, "This is it." And it was. A woman who was a little older than me came out the front door, waved us up the ramp. I rolled him inside, and we got him into bed. She thanked me and pointed me in the direction of a bus stop, and eventually I too got home, very tired, embarrassed, and glad. So 45 years later, it's this February, the end of the first month of this indescribably perilous time in the history of our flawed and precious republic. And I was lying awake again. I bet a lot of you have this experience. Just tormented by one dreadful thought after another, hour after hour after hour, just casting about desperately for something to focus on that was not disaster. This is what happens when you read news in the evening. I try to do it in the morning. It just, at times, like that, I'm trying to think of something that's not disaster. That's not the 50 ways the world is on fire, while the powerful grasp for more power like the unhealed addicts that they are. And at such times, the fate of this precious earth and all its peoples seems hopeless. The forces of ignorance and cruelty so powerful, and I'm at a loss. Like the recovering addict in my song, I cry that we're so horribly made. I couldn't think of anything to counter this darkness with some narrow slice of light to find a path through it, a way to ground hope and rest, and could not sleep. Then it was I felt the breeze on my cheek. The angel who sang to me in a ragged voice a very long time ago. A big man in a wheelchair with a dead battery who took a chance on a stranger. It was a low percentage play, but it was all he had. So he bet on me, and I bet on him, and we got it done. He taught me so simply, so naturally, what loving your neighbor feels like and what it's for. And the memory of that long afternoon, that sweet singing of our mutual angels, came to me in the night and gave me rest. Just a little memory. Doesn't seem like much. But wake now, compassion. It is all we have. It's all we've ever had. We can, we do, we will walk each other home. Now, please rise in body and spirit and sing lustily our final hymn, 298, Wake Now My Senses, verses 1, 3, and 4. The words are in the gray hymnal on the monitor up front. All right, we got a couple more things to do. Just a couple. Look at these closing words. May the spirit of love and all the love we've been given fill us with its light and give us the strength and the grace to be brave enough, strong enough, and true enough to be worthy of it and one another, here and everywhere. And now our brave choir is going to try and sing this song that I gave them like 2 minutes ago to learn how to sing. So we will test the theory. It's a hymn from Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Did I fill the world?